Today we are making the Dutchman's puzzle quilt block. So this is a 6-inch block that we'll be making, but if you'd like a larger size, then go ahead and check out the pattern in my shop. It has 5 different sizes in that pattern. But let's just get started here. So we're going to be making a series of flying geese, and for the center it kind of creates a pinwheel. So we want to have a darker, more bold fabric for the center pinwheel flying geese. So we're going to have one square of fabric that is 4.5 inches, and then for this the surrounding flying geese we will do a lighter color, and this is also 4.5 inches. And then we will need 8 squares of our background fabric, and these are 2 5/8 inches. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to draw some lines on the back of these pieces, and I'm just taking my ruler here. I'm lining up the 1/4 of an inch marking from corner to corner on the square here, and then I just draw a line. So just line up from corner to corner and draw a line along the edge, and this will give us our sewing lines. We can sew directly on those lines when we make our flying geese. So this method is to make 4 at a time, so we'll just make 2 sets of these 4 at a time with the 2 different colors of fabric. But right now we'll just make our lines on every piece of our background fabric. Okay, so we have all of our lines drawn. We're going to take our 2 large squares, and I just like to orient them so they're kind of diamond, in a diamond orientation. Then we're going to place one of our squares in the top corner and in the bottom corner. And we want the lines that we drew to be continuous with each other, and they will overlap here in the middle. So we'll just do that with both squares of our fabric, and we'll just leave the remaining 4 pieces for later. Okay, so then we will just take these pieces to the sewing machine, and we will just stitch along both of these lines. We will leave it overlapped as it is. We'll just stitch it just like this along both lines. Okay, so you can see we've got the stitching along those lines on both of their squares. So we'll just grab our cutting mat here, and we are just going to cut between the stitching. So we'll just get a straight edge here and a rotary cutter, and we'll just slice right down the middle just like this. Okay, and then the next step, we'll just grab our cutting mat here, our ironing mat I should say, and we're going to press these open. Alright, so we end up with these heart-shaped looking pieces here, and we'll grab our last 4 squares of fabric. We're going to place them in the corners of each of our little hearts, and now we want to make sure that the lines are going vertically like this, because that's the way we're going to be stitching. So we'll go place those on each of our things. We'll take these over to the sewing machine, and we will stitch along the lines. Alright, so we have our pieces sewn. Now again, we will just take our ruler and we will just line it up right down the center between those stitching marks, and we'll just slice them right in half. Okay, and then we will just press them open one more time. Just grab them and our iron over here, and we'll just press them open. And you can tell we've got some tails here. They're not perfect, but these are made oversized just a little bit so that you can trim them up and have the perfect flying geese. Okay, so the next step is to trim these up. We're going to get them perfectly square. Now you can tell on this one it's pretty wonky, and so I really like this method because it helps you get everything lined up evenly. So what I'm doing here, there's lots of different kinds of flying geese rulers, and these are the ones that I first tried and I like them, so I'm sticking with them. But you can see they have a triangle on them. So for this one, we want to trim it to 2 by 3.5 inches. And this flying geese ruler will help us achieve that, but if you didn't have one, that's the dimensions that you would want to trim it to. But we take that triangle and we line it up with the triangle of the flying geese, and then we just trim all the way around the edges. Now that doesn't take care of the bottom for us, so what we do, we'll flip it around, we'll take the bottom part of the triangle, line it up with the square that we just, the top. Line it up with the top, and then we will just trim the bottom. So just like that. So one more time. I think it's easier to see with the lighter color. So we take our triangle, line it up with the triangle of the fabric, and we will just slice around all 3 sides of the flying geese. Just like that. Then we'll flip it around, line up the bottom, line up line up the part we just cut with the bottom of the triangle. And then we will trim that piece right there, and then we will have the perfect flying geese. So we'll just go ahead and finish that with the remainder of these. All right, so we have all of our pieces trimmed, and we're going to take our center pieces and we're going to create a pinwheel. So I'm just laying out the block at this point, and I just start at the middle and create that pinwheel look just like that. And then we'll take our remaining lighter flying geese and we will place them around the edges just like this. Now we're going to take these, we're going to make 4 different squares. So we will take each section here, I'll flip it right sides together and stitch along here, and then we'll do the same thing with all of these. Okay, so we have all of our blocks, our squares sewn together. I just wanted to show you something. I'm not sure why this took me so long to figure it out. I seriously just realized right now. But if you place your flying geese face up, like the one with the point that is meeting the seam, you can see when you're stitching, you can make sure that you catch the point. Like, you're supposed to be doing a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, right? But sometimes sometimes we're a little bit off. But if we're watching right here as we're sewing, we can check and see that we're right up to that point. I'm hoping this is focusing in on that. Let me see, maybe this pencil. See, so right here we're stitching, and this point of our flying geese, we can just stitch right along there. And then when we open it up, we'll have exactly the perfect point. So usually you can get pretty close, but like this one right here, I wasn't watching and I'm just a little bit off. And it's fine. I'm not going to redo anything like that. I'm not worried about it, but that's just a little trick that I just seriously just realized just now. So the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to press these open. I kind of just finger press them. But I like to press them with the light flying geese on the top and the dark one on the bottom. And then it lays better because this seam right here isn't trying to bunch up over on top of itself with all that bulk. Okay, and then we're just going to lay out our block one more time. Make sure it's in the correct orientation to create our little pinwheel effect. And then we will take these to the sewing machine. We will stitch this top row together and then the bottom row together just along the middle here. All right, so we have our pieces sewn together here, and we'll just press them flat here. So I'm just going to go and press away from these corner points. So we'll just flip it shut and just lift and press like this. Now I just changed the battery in my camera and I dropped it, so if it's blurry or fuzzy, then that's why, but hopefully it's okay. I'm not seeing anything super noticeable, but it's a pretty small screen, so I guess we'll see when I edit what happened, if anything happened. But we'll go ahead, and now that these are pressed, we'll flip them right sides together. We'll just take this to the sewing machine and stitch along here. All right, so I just wanted to show you here that sometimes we're not perfect. So this center is not matching up very good. I'm not very happy with how that looks. If it's a little bit off, I'm usually okay with just leaving it, but that is pretty far off. So I don't know if this flying geese is off or what, but I'm gonna take this apart and try to figure it out. But I just wanted you to know, like, everybody messes up. Everybody has mistakes or has things that don't turn out right. And sometimes you just have to take it apart and try to figure it out, or sometimes you just start over, but we'll see what we can find out. Okay, I don't know if this is why, but if you can see right here, the seam kind of veers inward a little bit, or this direction. So I'm guessing that if I undo that and restitch it, then the piece will be up high enough and it will meet up at where it's supposed to. Because I could tell, like right now, it's not matching up like it should. I didn't notice before, but once I put it together, of course you can see. So I'm going to take apart this stitching and see if that's what it is. Okay, before I do any stitching, I'm just going to flatten out the pieces just to make sure that they're nice and flat. We can get them lined up hopefully correctly. We'll do that with this one too. Remove all these little pieces of thread. This is the part of quilting that is not fun when things happen like this. It can get frustrating and you just got to work through it. Sometimes it always seems like it happens when you're in a hurry or you just want to get it done. Okay, I'm just going to line these up again. I'm just going to go take this and we'll stitch this again, and I'll try to keep that. Maybe I'll start on this bottom side. One thing I can do is I can make sure that I'm nesting these two seams. I wasn't very careful with that, but see how when you place them right sides together, this seam and this seam line up, and you can kind of feel that they're butted up against each other. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to start on this end when I'm sewing, because it could have just got caught in the sewing machine and kind of jiggled. So I'm going to start on this end and I'll stitch down, and I'll make sure that I keep that seam nested on the other side. You can tell that they're not exactly, like the bottom piece is a little bit longer too, but I'm just going to focus on keeping that point, nesting those seams right there. So we'll go stitch and see what that looks like. Okay, I can tell on this side my stitching originally came down here, and now it's over there more. So when I open it up, you can see that the point of the two things meet up a lot better than they did before. So I'm hopeful that that will take care of the problem. So let's give this a press real quick and open this one up. Okay, and then we will just take this and we will stitch these, and let's hope that they line up a lot better this time. I forgot to press record, but this is how the block came out. The points match up much nicer. So let me just show you on the back what I do to press, because we have all of these seams meeting up together. There's a lot of bulk right here. So I just take the back and I kind of, so like this is how it would be, like all on one side or the other. I just kind of fiddle with this middle piece until I get it to lay. One seam you're going to press one direction, and then the other seam will lay the other way. And this will just help reduce a lot of that bulk in the middle and help it lay a lot flatter. So there you have the Dutchman's puzzle quilt block, and you got a bonus troubleshooting section there for you, but that is how you make it. And if you'd like to make different sizes like this 12-inch, I also have 8, 10, or 16-inch sizes in the pattern. So go ahead to the shop if you'd like to grab the pattern.